This is a focus leader.
Do your movies look like this? Do your soundtracks sound like this? Or like this? And so you need this.
A focus leader. First, set your lens so that these lines are sharp and clear on all parts of the screen. Now, set the volume control on your projector. The sound level should be adjusted until my voice can be clearly understood in all sections of the room. You are now ready to participate in Pan American Travel Adventure.
Is the sky still blue where you live? Have they cut down your forests? Are your streams still clear? Can you see your country? Or do smokestacks block your sky? Are your meadows still wide and unbroken? Is there wilderness where you live, and creatures unafraid of man? Has your country any strange and wonderful sights? Is there silence in your land? Silence so deep that you can almost hear the sunrise. Is there space and elbow room for you and generations to come? You'll find these in only one place in all the USA, Alaska. Seattle is your jumping off place. Fairbanks is only 3 hours away by jet clipper. Your flight carries you north over Canada into the largest of all the United States. To understand Alaska's size, you must look at a map. Within the borders of this single state lies 1/6 of all the land under the American flag. If it were possible to set Alaska on the mainland of the USA, it would cover 6 big Midwestern states and reach from Canada to Texas, from Los Angeles to Savannah, Georgia. Alaska has a northern sound in our minds, yet it reaches to the west. This great landmass lies like a cap across the central Pacific. The warm waters of the Japan Current flow across the ocean to give Alaska's southern seacoast a year-round temperate climate. 3 hours from Seattle, you become what Alaskans call Chichiko, an Indian word for newcomer. Weather at Fairbanks, clear and mild. Temperature in the comfortable 60s, average for summer. It is almost midnight when you arrive. Amazed at the sunshine? Welcome, Chichiko, to the land of the midnight sun. North of Fairbanks, beyond the Arctic Circle, the sun never sets in midsummer. This is midnight. Now 1 o'clock in the morning. Now 2 a.m. These pictures were taken during a single night in Alaska's Northland. The sun stands above the rim of the world, still and hot. The earth itself seems to move. In a frozen wilderness far north of Alaska's cities, the spring breakup begins. only Eskimos and a few travelers witness the victory of the sun. Along the shores of the Bering Sea and the Arctic Ocean live a people well suited to this land. They know there is warm country to the south, and some of them have traveled there to work in buildings and live in cities. But in cities, men do not hunt every day. Without hunting, there's no excitement in a man's life. Summer here is too short to grow crops. The Eskimo must hunt to live. Yet he also lives to hunt. In boats of whalebone and walrus hide, they search for seal and whale and the white bear far offshore. His first shot must be good. A wounded seal can slip beneath the ice, and the crack of a rifle will frighten everything in a 10-mile circle. A seal hunt pleases a man, but a whole village celebrates when a whale is caught. A season without whale is as bleak as a farm without rain. The blanket toss once honored men who battled whales with bone spears. Rifles make it easier. But this ceremony still seems fitting. For an Eskimo's whole life is a dance on air. An acrobat's trick of living on nature's tightrope. Old age itself is a kind of victory. Because they live so cheerfully in a barren land, an Eskimo ought to be the first man to the moon. He'd have a lean-to built, a fire, and a cup of tea waiting for anyone who follows his trail. A 1,000 miles south, Alaskan Indians lived for generations and never knew Eskimos shared their land. That's one measure of Alaska's size. They fished and hunted in a warm and gentle land. These totems tell of their battles to keep it. Near Ketchikan, visitors still wonder at these family coats of arms which record history, legend, status. The warrior tribes who placed these totems defeated the Russian invaders in their first attempt to cross the seas from Asia. After bloody battles, the Russians triumphed, established their capital and this church at Sitka. Less than 100 years ago, with the payment of $7 million, the United States bought this land. The battles are over. The totems no longer record tales of combat. In the new American scheme of things, the children of warriors carve ornaments for manicured lawns. Now and then the old tales are brought to life, the old chants remembered, the old dances taught to a new generation. Beneath the ancient disguises are youngsters who live in the jet age. The tribal rituals of their elders are strange and unfamiliar. They live in the 49th of the United States of America, and American totems, symbols, and way of life have changed Alaska forever. Towns like Fairbanks, Juneau, Anchorage are modern outposts in the Cancan frontier. On beaches where gold-hungry prospectors scrambled ashore, their children and their children's children picnic. The sourdoughs who fought their way to the Yukon 50 years ago would never believe their eyes. The seacoast cities, Ketchikan, Wrangell, Valdez, Petersburg, and many smaller towns have salmon fishing contests. Alaska has 35,000 miles of seacoast, more than all the continental states together, and these waters are thick with fish. Alaska is more than picnic and playground. In the cold pre-dawn hours, the trawlers slip into port, their holds crammed with halibut and salmon, with shrimp and king crab. More wealth has been taken from the seas near Juneau than from all her gold mines. When the catch is good, there's barely time for coffee. But now and then, at dockside, there's a moment's welcome pause. Then, the decks are cleared, the ropes cast off. There's work to be done in the deep waters beyond the sheltered harbors. The waters of Alaska were the first source of wealth. Now the roads are cut through. And in a land once called Seward's Icebox, there are some areas with growing seasons 200 days long. Blessed with sunshine 20 hours a day and summer temperatures in the 90s, crops ripen in weeks instead. Even the wilderness blooms. This was land thought expensive when bought from the Russians for 2 cents an acre. Beyond the clearings, another portion of Alaskan wealth. Her forests, perpetual sources of lumber and pulp. The wealth of the land rivals that of the sea, but beneath the land are unmeasured riches. Gold, the first lure, is still mined although a man with a pick and a pan hasn't got a prayer against the big dredges. But there was a time, not long ago, when 3 men with 2 fry pans between them worked a stream like this and stumbled on $700,000 worth of gold in 2 days. When the news reached San Francisco, gold fever raced like an epidemic through the streets. The Sternwheelers carried the prospectors north from Seattle to Skagway. Now they stand as totems to man's everlasting drive to get rich quick. There was a time when men walked these decks with nothing to their names but a tin pan and a dream. Within a year, the same men walked out of the wilderness. Some millionaires, most broke. The memories of the gold rush remain bright as the yellow metal. A few old steamers still carry travelers along rivers once rich with ore. The flavor and excitement of those gaudy days are forever part of the Alaskan scene. There's something of the pioneer and prospector in every Alaskan. In a land with not enough neighbors, every newcomer is welcomed as a friend. Although the rough and ready way of life has become traditional, the traveler will find good food and wine in many cities. Alaska is reaching middle age. The wild frontier settlements are becoming tame. Once these were trailside camps for prospectors and fur trappers of half a continent. The trading posts are gone. But in Juneau and other major cities, the treasured great land are still gathered. Yet those who live on pavement and work with paper know that Alaska's cities are small and her wilderness great. There is land no surveyor has measured, more waterways than a man can travel in his lifetime. And where neither wheels nor hulls can go, the airboat skims the land. Some men claim she'll ride the morning dew. Others say damp sand's enough. Experienced airboatmen ask for 2 or 3 inches of water. A few minutes' ride from the center of town, the wilderness begins. In this land of fox, bear, moose, and elk, man is but a traveler through big country who leaves no mark of his passing and destroys nothing by his visit here. For every solitary airboatman, there are 1,000 travelers who want more comfortable adventure. From the seacoast into the Klondike country, from Skagway to Whitehorse, the railroad follows the route of 98. This was the path of the gold seekers. Here, civilization is still only as wide as a railroad track. Perhaps someday cities will grow and the wilderness will disappear. But not yet. Not for a while. In these high mountain passes, many prospectors stumbled fell, cursed, and turned back. They longed for the secure and sheltered route, the inland passage. Along the coast of Alaska's panhandle lies calm and sheltered ocean, like no other in the world. A chain of islands just offshore acts as barrier and breakwater. Here the mountains meet the sea and plunge like sounding whales. A yard from shore, the bottom's 2,000 feet down. From Ketchikan to Petersburg, Juneau, and Haines, two ships follow the path, but not the style of the gold seekers. In this modern frontier, hardly anyone recalls when the only bread was sourdough and fresh eggs were scarcer than nuggets. Moving north, the green hills disappear. The air grows sharper. Seals slip from flat winter ice, and the ice itself changes shape and color, becoming icebergs. This is Alaska's glacier land. There are 40 of these moving rivers of ice in Alaska, one of them 1,200 feet high and larger than the state of Rhode Island. Boulders trapped in the path of these mountains have been ground to flour. Thousands of years ago, moving slabs like these covered half of North America, reshaping the landscape beyond all imagination. The mysterious inland reaches of the Alaskan glaciers are just now being explored. Here are mountain ranges without name and valleys where the snow has never been marked by footprint. Perhaps these will become the Alps of North America, drawing skiers and sportsmen from all corners of the world. High above the snow line in valleys known to bush pilots and few others lies a skier's dream world. Perpetual snow, untouched, untracked, unending. One helicopter ride carries them up in the morning. The rest of the day can be a downhill run. Skiers, no more nor less than other Alaskans, depend on air travel. In a vast country with few roads, the airplane is a lifeline. Invisible tracks in the sky bind the land as the American West was bound by the first transcontinental railway. And only from the air can man finally grasp the greatness of the land.
Roger. Gotcha view 4787 Coco. Flight 741. Aircraft 4787 Coco de Havilland, Beaver.
Wait 87 Coco, we've got you. You're coming in 5 by 5 lead. Go ahead.
White. Flight will be Kotzebue, VFR direct to Point Hope and return. I'm estimating 1+27 en route Point Hope.
The bush pilot is Alaska's mailman, trucker, ambulance driver, friend. He weaves the fabric of a state on a loom of air. They fly bread, books, and bullets. Missionaries, merchants, and mining engineers use airplanes without a second thought.
Roger, flight plan and the pilot's name. Altimeter 3004. Time 5-3. No reported local traffic, Cathedral.
Since the coming of the airplane, there are no isolated villages. No longer is time measured by the speed of a dog team. It's an ancient continent, but a young state, and the people have the enthusiasm of youth. They're proud of their history, confident of the future. In this land of newcomers, each person is as good as any other. There are fewer barriers between peoples, and each individual has unique value. This is a good land for the young and those who guide them. It is a rich land for those who love wilderness and understand that man and his works are only part of a grand design. In this land called Alaska, man is still a traveler, not yet a conqueror. This is America's last frontier. Until it vanishes, there is space for each man to know himself as he stands apart, single and unique. As you move through this wide country, you will share Alaska's great gift, a place for each man to know himself. There is no greater gift than this.